Welcome to the Arithmetic Zone, and welcome to part 2 of Basic JavaScript. So in the last lesson, we went over some basic JavaScript concepts, including console.log, string concatenation, arithmetic operations, and constant variables. Today, we're going to take these concepts one step further, but first, I'm going to need you to have to install another application, and it's called Git Bash, and it's how we're going to use the console today. So Git Bash, installing it can be pretty complicated, so I did link a video in the description. It's pretty long, and you don't actually have to watch all of it. Just watch the installation part, and maybe look at a few basic commands. But just know that some of the things that they do in that video, we are going to eventually do in this course. So it may be a good idea to watch the whole thing, just so that you know everything, and you won't get confused later on. But once you set up Git Bash, I'm going to just open it up. Let's just move it here. First thing you should always do is change directory, so cd. Now change directory into the folder that Visual Studio Code is currently open on. It's open in my CS folder, and you want to know where your CS folder is located. As for me, I have it within my desktop, and then inside the desktop, I have an Arithmetic Zone folder, and then I have my CS folder. So write out all these slashes to represent the nested folders, and now I am inside my CS folder. I can use ls to view all the files that I have. So as you can see, these are all the files. Images is a folder, it's a directory, and images, has its own files inside of it. But I wanted to use Git Bash because the content that we're going to do today is very important because it involves user input. Now, user input is awkward to use with Visual Studio Code's own terminal, its own console. So we're going to use the Git Bash console in order to put in our user variables. So I'm going to comment all this out. So highlight everything and control slash. So now everything is a comment. It won't have any impact on my code. And we're going to get started. So if I want to store user input, let's make a variable. And we're going to write process.argv, and then in brackets, we're going to write 2. You see why later on. Now anyway, I want to console.log this variable. And we're going to use Git Bash to run this. So make sure it is in the CS folder. Now you want to write node, the file name, which is introduction.js, and we're going to run it. It's going to print out undefined. Why? Because, well, this is supposed to be user input, but I didn't actually put in any user input, so it's undefined. So let's write in our user input by spacing after here and then writing any value. Let's say hello. It's going to print out hello. What if I put a number? Alright, it's going to print out the number. Anyway, process.argv and then bracket 2, it's going to return the second value right in the line on this command prompt. So by second value, that's with the first value representing 0. So node is 0, file name is 1, and then this value is 2. So that's why I use 2 to record this value. What I can also do is let variable 2 equals process.argv3, and I can print out that variable by having another space and another value. So let's say hello and then bye. It's only going to print out bye because it's referring to the third value, 0, 1, 2, 3, right there. Again, the first one has an index of 0. Keep that in mind. I can even combine this. Let's say new variable is equal to variable 1 plus variable 2. Let's put a space in between like that, and then we can write a new variable. This should be called reg variable, not variable 1. Alright, make sure these refer to the same thing. Alright, there we go. You gotta do a lot of debugging sometimes. Node introduction.js, hello, and then bye. It's gonna print out both hello and bye. So Anyway, that's user input, basic user input at least. Gonna be honest, we're not gonna really use process.argv a lot in a website. I just wanted to show you basic user input. Well, the next thing I'm gonna show you is very relevant to websites and very relevant to JavaScript in general, and that is arrays. So let's say you want to have a lot of values, right? Instead of making multiple variables, you can make an array. So let's make an array of sports. So sports array. And to specify arrays, you use brackets. And then inside the brackets, we're going to write in our values. So we're going to write in string values to represent each sport. So let's say baseball, soccer, football, tennis. All right. Now you can actually print out this array directly. Let me just comment all that out. And then I could just do node introduction.js. And it's going to print out my list. But what if I want a specific value? Well, just like with process.argv, you can specify each index using a number, with the first one representing 0, and then this 1, this 2, this 3. So let's say console.log sports array, and then in brackets, let's say 2. So go back to my Git Bash, node introduction.js. It's going to print out my list, and then it's going to print out football, because that is the 0. This is 0, this is number 1, and this is 2. I specified index 2, football is index 2. And I can always pass that in a variable, sports array 2, and then print out that variable, and it should be the same thing. Alright, there you go. Now there's a lot of specific methods you can use with lists. I'm not going to go over every single one because there's so many, but I'm going to just do some basic ones. So if you want to add a value, what you do is take the list name sports array, then dot push, and then inside you put in, let's say, another sport, so bowling. And then if I try to console.log the sports array from that point, you'll see the new list with bowling added at the end. If I want to remove the most recent item or the item at the end, you use pop with nothing in the parentheses. So console.log sports array, save. This is getting a little tedious to write over, so what you can do is highlight this and right click copy. You don't want to do Control C, that won't work on Git Bash. Then right click paste. Alright, as you can see, it did add bowling, but then after we popped it out, it got rid of the most recent one. So I can add like 3 of these. Now you want to be careful. I just copied this statement, so we gotta copy this carefully again. Alright, and paste that. And I popped it 3 times, so it removed the last 3 items in our array. Some other basic methods, you can actually reverse it, sportsarray.reverse. Let me just get rid of these so you can see it more clearly. Don't forget the parentheses at the end, even if there's nothing inside. So we're gonna paste, and it's gonna print out our list, but now it's reversed. Look at that. Ended with tennis and started with baseball. Now it starts with tennis and ends with baseball. There's also the dot includes, which is a special one because I had to actually put it inside of console.log because it's gonna return, this specific method returns a value. So let's say it includes the string baseball. It should return a boolean. It should return a boolean on whether our array includes baseball, and it does include baseball, so it's going to return true. What if it doesn't include the sport we're looking for? So let's say hockey. Save. Does it include hockey? No, so it's going to return false. And What you can also do is find the specific index of an item that's in our list. So use index of, and then inside of the parentheses, the string that we want to find. So let's go back to baseball. And like the method above, this one should return a value, hence we have to put it inside a console.log. It's going to return 3 because remember we reversed our list. So if we look here, then yes, baseball would be the third one if this was 0, 0, 1, 2, 3. What if it includes a sport we don't have? So again, let's do hockey. What index would it return? It's going to return -1, which indicates that what we're looking for is not actually in that array. Anyway, those are the basic array methods. Now, I was talking about booleans earlier, and I think it's worth looking into the typeof method, which essentially returns the type of whatever is inside of the parentheses. And this should be lowercase. I messed that up. Anyway, I'm gonna do typeof for 3 different types of data types. So the first one's a string, second one's a number, third one is going to be a boolean. But we got to test that out. So node introduction.js, and as you can see, string, number, boolean. Remember, JavaScript does not differentiate between an integer and a decimal number. It just treats it as a number. So we'll see how knowing the type of a variable or value will be useful later on. But last thing I want to go over is RNG. How can we make a random number? Well, we would use math.random and then parentheses. So let's set that in a variable called let random equal that. And let's just see what happens if I try to print this out. So node introduction.js. Alright, now I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna run it again. And it gave me a different number. If I keep doing it, it's going to keep giving me a different number. It's going to keep giving you a different number, a random decimal number from 0 to 0.9999. It doesn't actually go to 1. What you can actually do, though, is you can actually multiply math.random by a number. Let's say 5. And now the range is from 0 to 4.9999. So, yeah, the numbers are getting bigger now. Not that one. Alright. But yeah, the range is now 0 to 4.9999. It's being a little flimsy. My luck is pretty bad right now. But what if I want an integer number? Well, I want to take, let's do a new variable, rand int. And we're going to take random, and we're going to call the function math.floor and put random inside. So a floor is like, if you have a decimal number and you take its floor, you're basically rounding it down, while ceiling is rounding it up. So we're taking 0 to 4.9, we're taking any random number from 0 to 4.9999, and we're always rounding it down. So that means the range is now 0 to 4, like for integers. So, oh, I forgot to change. That's why you always got to test out your code. Alright. So now if I do it, yeah, I got 4, 3. Now I'm only getting integers because I'm rounding it down. I'm rounding the random number down. So it should be from 0 to 4. How can this be useful? Well, let's go back to our sports array. Let's only uncomment that portion. And you can actually refer to its length by sportsarray.length like that. And then what's really cool is I can print out a random item from it, just like that. So, alright, I printed out soccer that time. Let's try out other ones. Soccer again. Baseball, alright. Baseball. Tennis. Well, as you can see, you can use the random integer to print out a random item from the list. Anyway, that's going to conclude it for this video. There is going to be a part 3, so stay tuned.